Hello, we're back. Welcome to another edition of Level Up Mental Health. I'm your host here, Swizz. Got some good skills here we're going to review. The first is going to be related to just being able to, it's another acronym, as we've kind of discussed here. There's a lot of acronyms that we learned in terms of skill building. This one is going to specifically called HALT, and we'll kind of be able to understand what that is, how it can impact our mental health, and what we could do to kind of address it. Okay, so let's just dive into our worksheet. We'll see what we got here, and then we'll be able to talk about and review and reflect. Okay, so let's take a look here as we pull up our worksheet, and here we are with HALT. So HALT essentially is an acronym that stands for hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And this is what that kind of statement is saying is, before we go through a destructive particular behavior, whether if it's kind of an anxiety spiral or feeling very low mood or especially anger, right? Are we experiencing any of these four things, right? A lot of it can kind of like trace us back to, if you look up Maslow's hierarchy of needs, being able to kind of fulfill some of these things. Obviously, the basic things like shelter and sleep and everything like that is crucial. But looking at these things is really important to understand. If you feel that your mental health is out of whack, it could be one of these. It could be one of these things that we want to address, right? Thought I was muted, but I think we're good. So with that being said, let's take a look here as we are exploring kind of the impact that this can have. Okay? So, like I said, before we go into any particular destructive behavior, we want to ask ourselves, are we hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? Okay? So, when we're asking these questions here, we want to make sure we're reviewing again the impact that they have on us. So, for example, if we're hungry, okay, so when was the last time I ate? Is my hunger emotional, or does my body need food? I think that's a great question to kind of ask yourself there, because a lot of the times we may resort to, let's say, like binge eating or something like that. So if we're able to take that step back to think about, okay, what is the purpose for me having this food here? Hopefully that can kind of answer the question that we're looking for. Next question here is angry. So, are we dealing with anything that's stressful? Is there anything that's making us upset? Can we pinpoint it? If we are feeling angry, right, what had happened before to make us this way? So before kind of going to that destructive behavior, you really just want to take that sec to reflect and think about these things to go from there. Next topic here is lonely. So when was the last time you socialized? Was it a positive or negative experience? And do we need to reach out to the support system, right? So think of the last time when you were interacting with someone. Was it fulfilling or was it not? Because maybe you did interact with someone and it wasn't that good. How are you able to really just, embrace that feeling, that need that you're trying to have there, right? And the last one here, tired. Have you been getting enough rest? Sleep is very vital. Is there a way that we can kind of adjust this? Now, we had a previous video about sleep hygiene, so if you need tips for that, definitely check that out. But it's worth kind of looking into these things as well too, because like you said, you may realize that some of these may just be the cause as to why we're experiencing some difficulties with the mental health. I know it sounds simple, things of that nature, but really, there's another skill we kind of talked about, to stop. So if you can just kind of stop kind of whatever we're thinking that moment and have the ability to be reflective, to be mindful on this, we might be able to kind of get the answers that we're looking for here, right? So hopefully, again, with that, we'll be able to, understand maybe there's a kind of an origins for how we're feeling, and we can try to kind of address it using the HALT method here, okay? So one last thing to kind of look at this as well, and this will be kind of an upcoming discussion I'll have, but there's another acronym. Like I said, we're all filled with acronyms here, but this one is related to please. So what this essentially is doing, this acronym, is to be able to help us address these four areas that we feel may be kind of impacting our mental health, right? So the goal that we want to do is try to do the acronym of please in order to, let's say, kind of meet those needs of if we're hungry, if we're angry, if we're lonely or tired. So certain things like treating physical illness, getting kind of the balanced eating, avoid mood altering substances, balance sleep, get exercise. All those things really can contribute to reaching that HALT method that we're looking for. This treat physical illness one, like for sharing an anecdote, I had just got done with the neurovirus and it was absolutely miserable. But being able to kind of recognize that I'm probably tired because of the fact that I need to take care of my body, right? So I think it's important to be able to kind of look at these things, go see the doctors, have the balanced eating, be mindful. A lot of the stuff we're aware of. And that's why, everything kind of is interconnected, right? So knowing that if we can address when we're feeling hungry, when we're feeling lonely, when we're feeling tired, hopefully that can kind of get the answers that we're looking for. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe. Otherwise, I'll check you in the next one.